Pound that thing. Let's go. I say welcome to the podcast. You think I would be used to them by now? So welcome to the podcast. It's a brand new week, and excuse me, we haven't seen you guys for a couple weeks because, well, here's the deal, right? We gotta wait till the podcast gets enough listens, and then we can go, okay? Because otherwise, like, we get too far ahead of our audience. So we'd like to thank you guys. Apple Podcasts. I'm not gonna read all the countries and everything are the same. For the past 2 weeks, Apple Podcast 60%, Spotify 14%, Ghana in India is 4%, Anchor is 4%, iHeartRadio is coming up. It's 2% already. 2% iHeart. So anyway, want to say, how's it and mahalo to everybody. Thank you very much. We start with the attitude of gratitude. And on this episode, this is a continuation. And this is the second, chapter or whatever. The second part 2, actually. And there's going to be several parts, okay? And the reason why there's going to be several parts is my story is a long one to tell. And, just in the past a couple days, I had someone come on, and he's a regular listener. And he came on, and he has, everybody has something, Hawaiians. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's been through a lot, but, different stuff, right? Different kind of thing, And I'm sure, I'm not, certain, right? I'm not positive, but I'm sure it's a big deal for everybody. I mean, everybody going through whatever they're going through, right? And to the next guy, it's like, that's nothing. like, buck it up or whatever they say nowadays. I don't know. But yeah, so this guy thanked me. He actually messaged me on Messenger, Facebook. So if you're listening, bro, thank you very much. It's very heartfelt. And anyway, so, and he thanked me. He goes, Rod, thank you for telling your story. A lot of people don't really tell their story. Like, they don't tell the embarrassing parts of the, that kind of thing. And I'm not about that. It's just that, see, here's the thing, right? When I was younger, and I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am, but yeah, I'm not young anymore. Like young, like 20s, 30s, 40s. Yeah, like that. So, but anyway, especially for you people out of Hawaii, you guys don't know anything about me, and that's a good thing. But I always kept to myself because of certain things I was taught by my elders, okay? And one of them was like, hey, you know what? You show up, you do your job, you go home. Never mind the showboating, never mind the glad handing or whatever you call it. I call it shaking hands and kissing babies, okay? And it's that PR stuff that you gotta do, or the networking stuff that you gotta do to get ahead. And you know what, Hawaiians, I gotta tell you, okay, God is real. Because I never did that, and God still gave me the avenue to go down. God still made a way for me. Okay, now when I say God, I'm not talking about what you hear in churches, although that is God, right? I guess they're referring to the same thing I believe in, right? And I believe in Jesus Christ. I read the Holy Bible, KJV, King James Version, okay? But I don't use it as a weapon against people who don't see things like I do. I don't belittle whatever they believe. I mean, Satanists, right? Like this is according to me. This is the gospel according to Junior, right? Satanists is like, hey, if that's working for you, then okay, go. But you know what? I got to tell you, Hawaiians, I go online and I see all these reformed Satanists, and they're all helping people now. And they're going, no, Satan, So I'm beginning to see life like phases, right? We go through this phase, then we go through that phase, and we do our sinning, and then we go through our apology phase, our well, I'm sorry, Lord or God or whoever, whatever you believe, and then you kind of be, even more productive, because now you're done with all of that. You're done with the mistakes. You're done with the I'm sorry's and please forgive me, the whole pono. I told you guys about this on another podcast, right? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Now, when you say those things, you're actually saying it to yourself, as well as your creator, because the creator is in here. It's inside you, okay? And if you believe something else, then okay. Then okay. Don't listen to that. Don't pay attention to what I said. But anyway, so getting back to my story now, okay? So we stopped right at the point that I was going to tell you guys about the drug episode and how I was drugged. And yes, I was deliberately drugged. And it was a trip. I mean, looking back, I can laugh, right? At the time, it freaked me the hell out. So I will tell you exactly what happened. Now, this is exactly what happened as far as I know. Now, I don't know, who's responsible, who's really responsible. Okay, but here's what happened. So somebody gave me, and I know who the guy, and the guy's, he's gone, he's dead, he passed away. I'm not going to say his name, okay? But he gave me this marijuana joint. And this is when I was 16. And I think I was just about to turn 17. I was a junior in high school. And I was born late in the year. I was born in October. So anyway, he gave me this joint, and he said, here you go, bro. Take them home. Watch, smoke them watching the sunset. That's exactly what he said. Smoke them watching the sunset. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, in those days, we were smoking like all the time at the beach. We were beach boys. I was a beach boy. So that meant that, I brought my guitar to the beach, and I was with the older guys. And this guy that gave it to me, like, he was in his late 30s. I want to say he was 38, 39, maybe 40 at that time, because I think when I met him, he was about 37, 38. And I hung out at the beach from the time I was 12 years old. So, 12, 13, so teenager, 13, just turned 13, and thought I was all that and wanted to hang with the men, right? Because the boys just wasn't my idea of, dudes to hang with, especially the guys that I knew, because those guys, they were into like different things that I wasn't interested in. They were into cars. I remember one of my friends, he became an architect, and he was into cars and posters of cars and Porsches and all this kind of stuff. I wasn't into that. I was into playing music. And these guys at the beach they would bring their ukuleles, their guitars, and they would play music. And I was about being on the beach, singing to the pretty girls, and, drinking, smoking weed, that kind of thing, when I was in high school. No, it wasn't just me, Hawaiians. There was, we had a band of merry men down there, that was in high school. These guys was in high school. And we used to go down there and hang with the guys. And these are the older brothers. and we always, and the thing about back home, right, on my island, we addressed everybody with brother first. There was brother Mo and brother so-and-so and brother so-and-so, right? And that's how we addressed everybody. I was brother too. And the fact that these older guys was calling me brother, I was like, whoa, because they did not mess around. How do I want to say this? I want to say they were honest, and they're not going to call you a brother if they don't think you're a brother. You see what I mean? They're not gonna say it just to say it. When they said it, they meant it, and and they showed it, they expressed it, and they took care of us. And it wasn't just me. It was like everybody that hung at the beach. We were all beach boys. There was a lot of us. Now, the beach boy thing was like 13, 14, 15, 16, right? And the same thing happened, So my life, my summers during those years went kind of like this. This is like a general overview of my summers. Okay, I would sneak out of the house. My mom would watch the 10 o'clock news on television, and while she was in her, she would leave the living room, go into her bathroom. She had a bathroom in her bedroom. She would go in the bathroom in her bedroom and, brush teeth and everything like that. While she was doing that, I was sneaking out of the house. And by the time she went to bed, because she never checked on me after the bathroom, so I watched her pattern, right? I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it is, okay. And so I was sneaking out of the back door in the garage, right? And I used to keep my guitar. We had little storage cabinet thingies in the garage, sliding door kind of thing, and no locks or anything, just a sliding door. I kept my guitar on the inside of one of these, storage spaces, and so I would go out the back door. I even put WD-40 on the key. So I sprayed the key and the lock with WD-40 during the day, like when I came home from high school or whatever. So I always kept the back door lock very well lubricated, okay? And I'll tell you why. Because when you slide the key in, right, it'll make noise. Now, where I come from, it is dead quiet at night. I mean, dead quiet. There is an occasional car that will pass by. But, and I'm sure it's not like that now. This was the old days, okay? We're talking old days. So I would slide the key in the thing, and it didn't make noise, right? And so I thought I was slick, I thought I was, I got my bases covered, whatever. And so then I would grab my guitar, and then I would like scamper down the street. Now we lived on a corner, so there's two ways to go. And if I went one way, then my mom's bedroom is facing that road. So I would go down the opposite road, and I would go through, what we call the house lots. And I would scamper down, it was like between a jog and then walk and then jog and then walk, that kind of thing. And I would get to the cane field. Now, the cane field was an experience because the cane field had rats and centipedes and roaches, bugs, everything. So I would be running down with my slippers. I had slippers on. For you guys outside of Hawaii, they're, I think you call them Zoris or flip-flops. Yeah, so that's what I had on. And so I'm running down the dirt cane field. Actually, it's a side road. It's a road that they service the ditches with. Like they have the floodgates and stuff. They check on the floodgates. And they go down those roads in Jeeps and stuff. So it's not like a road. It's a dirt path that guys would drive on. And so I would run down that path. And yeah, every once in a while there was a mongoose or like a rat running in front of me, stuff. And I just ignore it, and I would run straight down. And it was a good, I want to say, mile and a half. It was a mile and a half walk, run. And then I'd get to like the main road. And the beach was right across from the main road. And so I'd go down to the beach. And sometimes I'd spend the whole night by myself. And, just me and my guitar. And I was learning how to play guitar at the time. I started when I was 14. And so I would stay there and just practice my guitar. And when I got tired, I'd put it down and just sit there. And then I would sleep. And I got to tell you, there is nothing colder than the beach at 4 o'clock in the morning. 4:30 in the morning. Whoo, Hawaiians, let me tell you. And I used to just crash out. We said crash out in those days. I used to just sleep in the lifeguard station. And 4:30 in the morning. And sometimes it was bone chilling cold. Like my teeth were rattling. That kind of cold. Because the wind would come like right in off the water. And my home island is up in the north just a little bit. So it's not like Honolulu, where most people are familiar with, Oahu. But it's up north a little bit. So it's just a little colder at night, just a little bit. And but it was cold enough. So that's what my summers were like. So the next day, right? So I'd sneak out of the house that night. The next day, I'd be socializing with these girls that came with a tour bus. Okay, now I gotta tell you these backstories, and paint the picture like this, because you guys gotta know why I was drugged. Okay, Because at a certain point, this was like overkill. Because, well, these girls used to come, right? And the tour bus used to drop them off. And they were there for 2 weeks. And then the tour bus would pick them up, because they would pick them up daily. But at the 2 week point, they would say goodbye to us and, give us the presents or treats or whatever. I mean, and then they would hop on the bus and then they would leave town. So these girls were there for 2 weeks at a time. So after the 2 week period, it was kind of sad. You kind of go through these sad phases, or you're just kind of staring out at the ocean, and you're looking at the next plane that's taking off, going, I wonder if that's Corey. This girl Corey, Daphne, and one of them, I'm not gonna mention her name because she's on my Facebook, but she's on my Facebook, and we were, we used to hang out. We used to hang out. We used to hang out. That's all I'm gonna say. But she's on my Facebook, right? Cause one day I was like, I wonder whatever happened to so and so, right? And I went on Facebook because I thought, well, everybody's on Facebook, and boom, there she was, and she turned out to be very highly successful, and has a beautiful family, and she's divorced, and went through the steps, like I said, right, the phases. Anyway, so that was my life. That was my teenage life. And when school was in session during the year, I would go down to the beach, like after school. So I would spend after school at the beach, whenever I didn't have to be home or at a family function or whatever. Sometimes I go hang with my friends, and we go up into the mountains and go slippery slide or whatever, hang like that, right? And then we're still drinking, and we're still doing all that stuff, teenage stuff, right? And but every moment that I had that wasn't doing one of those things, so the majority of my time was spent at the beach. So there I was at the beach, right, dating all these girls and whatever, okay? And I could play the guitar and sing, and that kind of was I guess it gave me an edge with the girls, guarantee. And like I told you guys on so many other podcasts, that's what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to sing to girls, make money doing it, and just love, because that was my thing, man. It was like, hey baby, how's it, how you, let me sing you a song, baby. And before you know it, right, you see what I'm saying? So, but that was me, okay? And that's still me. I never changed. That's the same guy inside of me. That's that guy. And I tell my girlfriends that too. I go, well, I'm the last guy you want to have a relationship with, but and girls are like, oh no, no, you can. Anyway, so okay, maybe a little bit too much information on that one, but anyway, so that was my life, okay? And I got a lot of attention from a lot of females that came to the beach, that came from oh gosh, like all over the place, Minnesota, Tennessee, like you name it, LA, Sacramento, all over the United States. And they came, and we met all these girls. So when the tour bus would pull up, the Beach Boys, right, and there was a handful of us sitting on the wall and watching the beach as well as the road, and we just so I think sometimes we was watching out for cops, but we would sit up on the wall and we would say, hey, fresh load, and the bus would pull up, right, and these girls would get off the bus, and we would look and we go, because there was a lot of old people, because old people have money to travel, right? But these people, like some of them brought their granddaughters, and their granddaughters were our age. They were like 14, 15, 16, whatever. And then some of them was in their early 20s. And bro, we went big game fishing. I mean, if you want to see, if you ever saw a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds hitting on 23, 24-year-old chicks, bro, that was us. And we were quite successful at it. I want to say it was fun. It was good fun. And these girls just wanted to know somebody from Hawaii, and they wanted to, cruise and hang. And these girls, like, sometimes it was like, these girls in their 20s, the early 20s, they used to come in packs of 3 and 4, 2 and 3, whatever. And they used to come and rent a car, right? And so we used to make friends with them on the beach, like the first day. First day they hit the beach, yeah, we wait a little while, we give them an hour and a half, 2 hours. And some of the lines was like, hey, so what, you smoke? And you're just like, yeah, I smoke. We get some stash right there. I mean, blast them right there on the beach. This stuff, I'm being very open and honest with you guys, okay? And these girls, okay, and then that would lead to another thing, and pretty soon it's like, hey, yeah, you guys want to go out tonight? Yeah, where you went? Oh, I can show you all the spots, and I can take you to all. So there was these places, and we took the girls. So we were like their unofficial tour guide, okay? And they paid for everything. And that's the beach boy life. So the beach boy life is the chicks take care of you because you taking care of them, teaching them how to surf. We're like being their tour guide. So we were in their cars. They would rent the cars. And we was riding in like Ford Thunderbirds. And back in the day, that was something. I mean, it was a nice car, right? Air conditioned. I mean, our cars never have air conditioning. And I mean, but these cars, right? The rental cars, that's like expensive stuff. And so we was banging and we was cruising with these girls and they was paying for everything. They pay for our lunch, our dinner, everything. We go down the mall, they go, oh, we want to go get some Aloha shirts. And we're with them and, cause they want to take gifts back home. And then they're buying us shirts. And it's like, oh, you would look good in this, babe. Right? Like this is just like babe for 2 weeks, babe, kind of babe. You know what I mean? And boom, right now, boom, like, and we were like, wow, hey, thank you so much, right? And we made sure that we returned the love. You see what I'm saying, Hawaiian? But this was the life. Okay, now let's leave that as the picture. Okay, so that was the accurate picture of what my life was like during especially summertime, because that's when we were out of school and we spent the most time at the beach. Now on the other, during school time, it was just the weekends, like Saturday, Sunday, that we could go down and meet the girls and whatever. After school, we didn't really do that because we didn't have time. By the time we got out of school, got down to the beach, it was almost sundown, and we surfed for a little while and whatever and went home. But yeah, so that's what life was like, okay? All right, now let's start fast forwarding to what happened. So here's what happened. And I told you the story up until we left off on part 1. Now part 2 is the drug episode. And like I told you, he gave me the joint. He said, take him home, watch the sunset. So I'm like, okay, And I trusted this guy because I had hung out with him already for years. And he took care of me. I mean, he really took care of me. So there is the question, right? Did he know what was in there? And I don't know. I mean, I would think that he would know. Okay, but there is a chance that I kind of, in my heart of hearts, I go, man, he had to have known what was in there, right? And guess what was in there, Hawaiians? Okay, angel dust. A massive amount of angel dust, okay, combined with cocaine and heroin. Now, this kind of lethal dose that was, in there, wasn't meant to get me high. It was meant to make me a vegetable. And that was just, I mean, it wasn't any more complex or whatever than that, and wasn't any less than that. Because I can tell you right now that if I took more than what I took of it, vegetable, guarantee. Now there's many loose ends that I have tried to connect over the years. Because when something like that happens to you, right? You're like, hey, I just want to find out. I just want closure. I want to find out what happened. I want to find out who did this, who put so-and-so up to this, who did what, and, whatever. What's the real story? And sometimes you gotta let sleeping dogs lie. That's an old idiom, because you don't want to wake up the dog, because maybe you can get something that you don't want to hear. Maybe you can get something, you see what I'm saying? So I had to be happy with not knowing. And I asked person after person after person. There are people that know. There are people that know. I don't talk to them. They're not enemies or anything like that. I don't really have any enemies. The only enemy I think I ever had was my son's mom. That was it. And no, really. I mean, it was just that way. And it was unfortunate. But anyway, so none of these guys, none of the people that were around that actually know what happened, because there are, right? But they're not enemies or anything. I just don't talk to them. I'm not around them. They're not around me, and I left that world. In fact, I was so focused on, okay, I'm gonna be an entertainer, and that was my goal. And I just, it was like, Mom, put me on a plane. I'm out of here after high school. And I think I stayed like a month after high school. And then I was like, put me on a plane. We had a fight. I'm like, put me on a plane. I'm out of here. And I left. But what happened that weekend was pretty, there's a lot of loopholes, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of missing pieces. So first of all, my mom and my dad were on this island because they had to come to a meeting, or I don't know, something, right? So that was one thing. I was like, hey, it's kind of a little coinky-dink that when that happened, like, they were here. And I was like, okay, coincidence, all right. Then there was this guy who was from the, I want to say, organized crime syndicate, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and then later on I got to know all the guys, right? But this guy was a syndicate guy who was kind of laying low on my island because things were a little hot over here, and that's what happened in the old days. See, when things got too rough on one island, and when I say rough, I mean like when cops start watching you, people start checking up on you, that pretty soon, if you're around, things are gonna get serious. And so they would come to the neighbor islands and hang out for a couple of years. So anyway, this one guy was there, right? Now, the first time that PCP was found on my island was found in me. So I have the distinct honor of being the first PCP case ever on my island. So, and anyway, but I don't know, I'm like, I did a lot of firsts, but then that was the first. So anyway, and this, marijuana joint, right, had so much chemicals inside that if I did more than I did. So here's exactly what happened. I took it and I said, okay, hey, mahalo. I shook his hand, everything. I left, right? And another coincidence, I'm going to take you guys on the left side over here again. Another coincidence was that one of my uncles, who was an entertainer from this island, from Oahu, was on that island, okay? And I want to say about a month or two, maybe a month and a half before this happened, I introduced him to the Beach Boys. So that's another coincidence. Or I'm like saying, oh, what are the odds? Like, what are the odds that all of these things are going to happen at the same time? Now, I don't know if they're connected, and I'm not saying they're connected, and I'm not even concerned at this point. I'm just telling you what happened. So anyway, so I went home, right? And I go, okay, this is going to be good, because the brothers had the best weed. I mean, they had the best stuff from like Kalalau. There's this place on Kauai, like this inaccessible place. And these guys used to grow the best weed in the world. And guys from the mainland used to come down and go, wow, where did you guys get this from? You go, oh no, that's what we do every day. And they think, well, not every day. I'm exaggerating, but that part. But yeah, it was real good. So anyway, so I was thinking like, wow, yeah, this is going to be good. And my mom and dad are gone for the weekend, right? So I can just sit in the backyard. We have a big cement slab, like a patio. And I go, wow, I can just sit on the patio, and the sun sets right there. Like, if you look, from our patio, which our house is on a valley, and you look straight across, the sun goes down between the two, right? There's this point between two mountains. The sun goes down, like right there. And I'm like, wow, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch the sunset, just like brother said, right? I'm gonna do that. And I sat down, I'm gonna light them up, okay? And I took a hit. And I was watching the sun because I thought, well, that's a good suggestion, right? So I was watching the sun. When I took the second hit, okay, now these were healthy hits, okay? When I took the second hit, the sun started dancing, and it scared the crap out of me, okay? Because the sun started moving, started shaking. Now, I wasn't shaking. I was looking around. I was looking around, and then I looked back at the sun, and the sun was shaking again, right? And I was like, wow, something is going on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, something is wrong. Like, this is really wrong. And then I began to felt feelings of paranoia. And I never really felt that way before. The kind of deep kind of fear that I was feeling. And I was going through like some weird trips. And I cannot even tell you how it feels. I can't describe it, but it comes in waves. It's like boom, 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 like sweeping waves of fear. And I had this little baggie, right, with some weed that I had, and I took it all out to the patio because, I mean, nobody was there. It was like my backyard. Nobody would bother, right? And so I got paranoid. I got scared. I put a little rock in it because we have chips in the back. We used to have chips in the backyard, and these chips were like redwood chips, and we had some rocks on the side. So I took a rock and I put it in the baggie, and I whipped it over the valley. So like it was gone, right? Because I was thinking like, I don't want to get caught with this stuff, right? And I don't know what's going to happen to me. And I whipped this thing over the valley, and then that was the end of it. There was no evidence, right? Okay, so that was one thing, but I was in bad shape. And this lasted the entire weekend. Now, a few things happened that weekend that were pretty interesting, right? The first thing is that, I was there like by myself in my mom's house. And so, I mean, well, my house, right? It's still my house. This is our house, right? And so I jumped on my bicycle. I had a Schwinn Stingray, and I jumped on my bicycle and I rode down the street. And I don't remember what happened until I got to the hill. There's this hill that goes down. When you go downhill and you feel like, ooh, like inside, right? That little rise you get, like, ooh, and then you're going downhill. That's when I actually started like I came to kind of thing. And I didn't know how the hell I got there, but I was speeding downhill. And so I stopped my bike, I turned around, and I drove home. I rode home. And I got home, and when I approached the house, the front door was wide open. Okay, so now I'm thinking somebody was in the house, right? And then so I put my bike in the garage, and I ran around went to the front door, searched the house. And so the jokes that people tell about people on ice and stuff, that's what was going on with me. I was like, what? I was tweaking. I mean, I don't know. I've never smoked ice, so I don't know what, real tweaking is. But Hawaiians, I was panicking, okay? And this fear thing was coming and going in waves. Like, it would stop for a little while, then I would be okay, and then it would just hit me again. So I guess what I was having was flashbacks, because later on, I got to a doctor, and they were telling me stuff like that. But anyway, so this goes on for a weekend. So now I'm home. So I lock all the doors, and I basically locked myself in the house, right? And I started calling, and I called my auntie, and my auntie answered the phone, and I started saying stuff like other than what I called her for, which was like, I need help or something or whatever. And I was talking about other things, and she said, "Are you okay?" And she started yelling at me because, I wasn't making sense, because, like, to me, like, somebody could have been bugging the phone kind of thing. Bro, I went through all this paranoia, okay? And she started yelling at me, and I'm like, okay, sorry, Auntie, sorry, never mind. It's okay, it's all right. And I hung up. Okay. Now, I was going like through this thing, so I got in the car, and I could drive at that time. I had a license, everything. I got in the car, and my mom had a Buick Skylark, and I got in the Skylark, and I drove down to the beach. And when I got down to, because I figured, well, if there's somebody at the beach, maybe they could tell me what's going on, because I'm going to some trips. I got to the beach, nobody was there. Now, when I looked at my watch, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had been spinning out like in my head from like, I don't know, sunset. So like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening till 4 o'clock that morning. It's like I was hallucinating on and off. Okay. Then what happened was I go, oh man. Okay. So I left the beach and I went to our Calabash cousin's house. Right, because I used to hang out with them, and my auntie, this is a Calabash family. My auntie had a hula studio, and so the hula girls would all, go over there, and we would play music, and we would hang out and watch TV and whatever, and just it was a family, a real good family kind of environment. And so I figured, well, maybe I can explain it to them, maybe I can explain it to auntie and uncle or whatever. So I went to their house, and everybody was sleeping because it was early in the morning. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning by the time I got there. So I went in the garage, and I laid down on the floor of the garage, on the cement, on the cold cement. And I just wanted to chill out, right? At that point, I was still like freaking out in my head, because I had all these different thoughts, like this is going to happen, or this is going on, or that's going on, whatever. So by the time like anybody got up, okay, and it was my Calabash uncle that got up. So I went to go talk to him, and he was outside in the yard. And I went to go talk to him. He goes, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, oh, uncle, I came because, I was scared. And scared? What's going on? And, and I tried to tell him, right? And right in the middle of telling him, I started to not make sense. The same thing, like, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to implicate myself, I think, or I didn't want to, tell the the story like I was smoking weed or something. It was something like that. And so I changed the story, and now I was talking bubbles. I was talking nonsense. And he was like, you better go inside, go have something to eat, and go eat breakfast with the boys and whatever. So I went in, right? And slowly everybody got up, and then, and that night they had a performance. Now, during the day, okay, this one of their sons that I used to play music with and entertain with, and everything with their family, and so he comes with me in the car, and I told him, I said, can you drive, because I cannot drive, I cannot. And so he starts driving. I get in the back seat, and I'm lying down. Okay. Now, this brother, right, who is still my friend till today, and our families are still close, starts like ripping with my mom's car. There's just like, these outrageous turns and narrow roads that we have up in the, mountain, the hillside of where I live. And so we're going on this thing, and I'm in the back seat, like going back and forth, like being shuffled back and forth. That happens, okay? After that happens, after we get back to his house, right? My auntie them is like, hey, we got a show to do tonight. So they're like, you got your guitar? I said, no, my guitar's at home. So, okay, good. We're going to guitar for you. Here you go. They gave me a guitar, and they took me down to this place called Koloa, and they had a show. And so I'm standing on stage, and now this is like 7 o'clock in the evening. It was hot. It was so hot. And I'm standing on stage in an aloha shirt, with a lei on, looking like part of the crew, right? And I'm playing, because I can follow all their songs, because I was trained. They trained me to do that. They really helped me a lot in entertainment. And so I was there playing the guitar and freaking out in my head. And the audience was like, I don't know, I think some of them were with the CIA part of the time, and like in my head, right? And so all this, and I'm just like flashing in my head like all night. It's like a different feeling, and then it goes away, and then everything's normal, and I'm playing and singing, and everybody's smiling and trying to be the entertainers, and and then playing all these Hawaiian songs, and then pretty soon the feeling comes back, and I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, what am I doing here? Like that kind of thing. Now this goes on. This was a Saturday night. Okay, so the episode happened on Friday. This was Saturday night. So it's for Saturday night, I'm on stage, right? Okay, so then after that, I get tired enough, because I've been up now for 2 days. I've been up, like just hallucinating on and off for 2 days. So I'm tired. So I finally got some sleep because I passed out. I was just too tired. I didn't have any energy. I just passed out in the living room. All of us slept in the living room in front of the TV and stuff. And so I just passed out. The next day, Sunday, I'm trying to communicate, right, with my uncle, my Calabash uncle. I'm trying to tell him something is wrong, but I can't tell you, everything, like, I can't, and I'm not making sense. Okay, so long story short, Sunday goes, like, the day goes by, right? And my mom and my stepdad, right, come back from their trip. Now they came back from their trip, and I go home, and they're home, right? And I start telling my mom, something's wrong, and I'm sorry. And I told my mom the story, okay? And my mom, and in between the story, I kind of leave out details. I left out who gave me, whatever. I left out certain things. I left out the joyride in the car that brother took me on. I left out a lot of details. But the one thing, so she couldn't nail it down. She did not understand what was wrong with me, but she knew something was wrong. So finally she goes, well, you want to talk to Uncle So-and-so? Now, Uncle So-and-so was a captain in the police department. And he lived right down the street. And his sons were like my good friends. In fact, one of his sons was my classmate. So I said, yeah, I want to talk to him. And so he came, right? Now he came, and then he goes, well, I don't know what we can do. You don't have the stuff, and we can't take a look at it. We don't know what happened to you. So you want to go to the hospital? So they take me to this psych hospital that they have, right? And they put me in the observation room, right? And I could tell you, Hawaiians, in the morning I ran away from the hospital, and I ran down this trail, right? And then pretty soon, right, the hallucination was gone. So I ran back. I was like running down these trails on the side of the hospital, going down into the town. I was halfway to town, and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing running on the trail? So I stopped, I turned around, I ran back. Okay, now, when I ran back, they locked me in the room, and the next thing I saw was my mom. My mom came to visit. Okay, so my mom, and this was the only time I have ever seen my mom in such a weak condition. Like I mean, she didn't have it together. My mom is a kind of person, like, she always has it together no matter what. There could be a nuclear bomb go off and she would retain her composure. And my mom had sunglasses on, which I never saw unless we went in the sun on the beach, right? And she had sunglasses on, and she was crying, and she was sniffling, and she was holding out a spoon, and she was saying, please eat for mommy, please eat for mommy. And I was trying to eat. I didn't feel like eating. And I was just looking at my mom. I was just staring, because in my head, right, I was someplace else. Okay, but I remember that. I remember everything. See, this is the thing. I remember everything. I can walk you through every little thing, right? So time goes by. They put me, in a regular hospital bed. I have to stay in a hospital. Now, it was so embarrassing because the people in my high school, like, that was known as the crazy hospital, because it was just crazy people, and I think like people in their 80s, like what do you call it? Like a care home kind of thing for old people, a geriatric. There you go, geriatric unit. And so I spent like 2 weeks in that hospital, because now they're giving me medicine to control this, these flashbacks that keep happening. So, my mom is thinking, I have brain damage, and of course my classmates, everybody, they all thought like, oh, brother's gone, man. Brother did something with drugs and he's gone, and I wasn't gone. I was just having this problem. I was like, what? Because I didn't understand, right? So my mom brought me a brand new guitar. I'll never forget this. She brought me a brand new guitar. And because she was expressing, that was my mom's I love you, right? She brought me this brand new guitar. And it was, in those days, guitars are like $75. And it was a nylon string guitar. It wasn't anything real fancy or anything. It was an Orlando guitar. And because I had two of them. Anyway, she brought me the guitar so that I could play in the hospital, right? So I could keep myself occupied. And one day, I don't know, it's like the third day, fourth day I had the guitar. I couldn't tune it because I couldn't hear right, because things was happening in my head. And I took the guitar and I smashed it on the foot of the bed. They had these old beds with the iron or metal railing at the end of the bed, at the foot of the bed, and then they had like a metal railing for where the headboard would be or whatever. So these are old school, old fashioned. Everything in this hospital was old back in the day. So this was like from, I don't know, World War II kind of stuff, right? But I busted the guitar and I broke the guitar in tiny little pieces in a violent rage, right? And I wasn't violent. I couldn't tune the damn thing, and I was mad, right? So till today, I have these PTSD kind of episodes. Not where I do that. I don't do that anymore. But I mean, I can control everything now. But I'm just saying, I couldn't control it back then, and basically, I was just being a spoiled brat. So I'm like, well, if I can't tune this thing, then F it, and bam, and I broke the damn thing, right? Okay, so my mom decides to bring in the best guy, the best psychiatrist in the state. And so once a month, he flew to my island, okay? And once a month, she drove me to, there's this main hospital in the middle of, our town, a main town in our island. And I went to go and see him. And that was the beginning of a very, very spooky journey. It was very spooky. It kind of went like this. So he tried this kind of medicine. That didn't work. He tried that medicine. That didn't work. He tried this other kind of medicine. That didn't work. Because every time he gave me something else would, side effects, right? Something else happened. And he would only be there like once a month, right? So I had to go through this, like, this wrong stuff or whatever that he gave me, right? And this wrong stuff lasted for a month, and I was spinning my wheels. So what happened is I went into a deep depression, and the depression happened, I want to say, maybe 6-7 months out from the ordeal that I went through, the drugging episode, right? And anyway, I went into a deep depression. I didn't want to get out of bed. My mom insisted, dragged me out of bed, made me sit in the yard, and I would look up at the clouds, and the clouds would scare the crap out of me because they were moving, right? And it felt like I was spinning every time I looked at the clouds. So anyway, this kind of stuff happens, Hawaiians, and it keeps happening. And this, and I can't tell my friends, right? When you're a teenager, you want to be normal. You don't want to be seen as having a problem or whatever. Because if you do, nobody wants to be around you. Everybody distances themselves, right? So like to my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm all right, whatever. Bull crap. I was spinning my wheels in my head, but I kept it in my head, and all this stuff that I was feeling, right? I couldn't communicate to anybody. There's nobody I could talk to except one guy, my best friend in high school. And me and him used to, we used to go park in the middle of the cane field and smoke weed. But that's another story. Always, I'm telling you guys too much stuff. But this was, high school, right? Teenager. You're finding yourself. You're experimenting, you're doing all kinds of stuff. In my case, yeah, I got drugged. So anyway, I try to communicate to this guy and tell him what's going on, and he doesn't know how to help me, but he understands, and he's there, like he's my best friend, right? And we went through so many things in life together, in young life together, right? And so he's trying to help. My mom's trying to help. Everybody's trying to help, right? But then I start getting this weird reaction from people, right? Because it's such a small place where I come from. Like, gossip goes like wildfire, right? So pretty soon people start like reacting to me different, like, hey, this guy's not dealing with a full deck, So and I'm perfectly fine as far as doing my work and everything. My schoolwork, everything was good. I was behind, but I caught up, everything, and everything was fine. It was just that I kept getting these flashbacks. And then there was this doctor, right? Who's putting me on all kinds of different crap, and every month was something different, whatever. Then at 17, when I said, put me on a plane, I can't stand this place. I'm going to go be a star. I'm going to go be a celebrity. I'm going to go be an entertainer, right? And I left. Okay. Now, at that point, right, I didn't need any, well, I thought I didn't need any medicine, because everything had kind of subsided. And then the medicines were like cut down. And then I was okay for a little while, right? And that's where we're going to pick up the story next time, because I'm going to tell you about the guy that saved my life. He's a doctor. I'm going to tell you about the doctor that saved my life. Now, this doctor, I don't know, maybe he just really didn't know what to do. But brother was sending me on trips, like with all kinds of medicine, and then all kinds of side effect medicine. Okay, take this, and that one not work. Oh, that one's doing this. Okay, take this then for that. And then, oh man, I tell you, it was a trip, Hawaiians. It was a trip. So I cannot tell you like every detail, okay, but this is like the background, okay? And the moral to this part 2 episode is, I always had it in the very bottom of my heart that this was done deliberately for whatever reason. But I gotta tell you that I was a son of a gun when I was young. Like if you were like, I don't know, opposing me, I would be a very formidable enemy. It was not a very how can I say? It was not, I was a pain in the ass to a lot of people if I didn't like them. And I was the guy that was scoring chicks and doing all that stuff. I was showboating and all that kind of stuff. I can think of tons of reasons why I would be the target of like, hey, let's get rid of this kid already. Let's put him in Waimanu home. All he has to do is smoke that joint and he'll be gone forever. And he'll be in a football helmet banging his head against a wall in some asylum. And I mean, basically that's what, that's what my feeling always was. And several people around me had the same feeling. And we all kind of thought the same thing. But then, nobody had any specific details other than who gave it to me, and then, of course, what I experienced. But that's the situation. That's what happened, and that's what I experienced. And I'm going to tell you in the next episode, part 3, Hawaiians. In part 3, I'm going to tell you about the guy, not going to name names, but I'm going to tell you about this guy. And this guy saved my life because he took one look at my chart. He was this doctor. And this was in my 20s, my early 20s, okay? My early 20s. Not even 24 yet. I think I was 22, something like that, 23. And he looked at my chart and he said, you don't need all this stuff. He goes, this is bull crap. Well, he used another word. And he goes, this is bull crap. He said, you don't need all this stuff. He goes, you're taking all this stuff, and then you got to take the side effects thing, and then they're changing your meds, and then this and that, and then he goes, you just need one thing. He goes, that's all you need. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you just need one thing. So turns out, right, that this anticonvulsant medication helped with all of this. And until today, I take 2 pills in the morning, 2 pills at night, right? And this is so I don't go into hallucinations and crap like that, okay? So now you know, Hawaiians. There you go, Hawaiians. That's the story. That's part of the story, okay? But this guy, right? And I talk to him during pandemic. Because every Thanksgiving, I call him and I say thank you to that doctor. Because if it wasn't for that doctor, Hawaiians, I think, I don't know, there was this one doctor who wanted to give me Prolixin, which is a very mind-altering drug. I mean, I saw these guys that, and you know, I gotta tell you, I saw these guys that they gave all this kind of crap to, and they turned into vegetables, Hawaiians. They were vegetables in a matter of years. I saw these guys like 3-4 years later when I used to see these guys, and I was like, these guys couldn't even think. They could hardly talk. They could hardly move. I mean, they were like old men, and they were like in their early 30s because their brains had deteriorated, their nervous systems had been shot. They were different people. And I could have been one of them very easily because these guys was like factory medicine. Like, okay, let's give him that. And then, okay, that works on him. All right, give him to everybody. I mean, bro, it was weird. It was really weird. And I really, by the grace of God, because all I did was pray. And by the grace of God, you know, God sent that angel in the form of that doctor. And he said, no, you just do this. That's all you need. And for the rest of the time, right, that's all I did for the rest of my life. And that was in, I was 23. And I'm a lot older now, Hawaiians, but yeah. So it's been very interesting, you know. And I don't know what you've been through. We've all been through stuff, you know. I'm not here to bellyache, complain or feel sorry for me. No, Hawaiians. I'm here to tell you the story because I've never told anybody this story, and I'm telling all you guys, okay? Because a lot of people don't know me, and you know, I just kind of keep away from people because, you know, I do my job, I go home, and I'm not like into going out and meeting everybody. I'm not an attention whore. I don't have to go out and, you know, online. Yeah, I put my promos out there because I need work. You know, I put my songs out there because, yeah, people need to buy my albums. That's what I do. You see what I'm saying? But that's not me. And people that know me, the people that really know me, they know this. Okay, but the general public don't know this. And, well, Hawaiians, now you know this, Hawaiians. Sorry, Hawaiians, I gotta go. Anyway, we all have our cross to bear, Hawaiians. Every single one of us. That's right. Nobody has a perfect life. But I could tell you about my family, but nah, that's another podcast, Hawaiians. Hey, I want to thank our sponsors, Island Club and Spa, Brother Randy, Sister Jerry over at what is that? It's in Kaka'ako. The Ko'olani. Yeah, there we go. Oh, my brain went left field. See what happens? So, you know, sometimes when I repeat myself on a podcast, okay, now you know why. All right. So, yeah, my brain don't work like yours. Till next time. Oh, don't forget Darren Chinen's music on iTunes, okay? So that's afmhawaiimusic.com. Also, mahalo to Voice Master Family and Service Companies. And we see you next time, okay? For part 3, Hawaiians. Part 3. Aloha!